Welcome back. This is World Insight with me, Tian Wei, here in Davos. As this year's World Economic Forum annual meeting with the theme, A Spirit of Dialogue, convenes Monday in the Swiss town of Davos, it's time to hear from the World Economic Forum's young global leaders and global shapers community. This is a joint presentation of the World Economic Forum and CGTN. The young generation is all too familiar with artificial intelligence, especially AI's large language model applications. But with the race and build-up in advanced AI technology, we can't help but wonder, are they, or all of us, really living in a tech bubble? How is technology shaping social reality? And what does it mean for cooperation and competition in the field of artificial intelligence? Let's listen to our conversation. We're joined by Venancio Mendez, who is with the Houston Hub of Global Shapers in the U.S. Meanwhile, we're also joined by Wan-Ning Chen, the founding curator of the Haikou Hub in China of the Global Shapers community. Thank you so much for both of you joining us. Tell me more about what is your observation of the AI competition between China and the United States at this moment? What does that mean to your work?
We have seen in the last 3 to 4 years a big competition between China and the United States. China has taken more of a centralized approach, whereas the United States has taken the free market enterprise approach. And there's benefits and setbacks to both. As an entrepreneur in the United States working in the AI sector, what we see is that competition between ourselves and different startups and companies drives innovation. And so from that perspective, we think it's a positive thing. The fact that both of the countries are fighting to win the AI race also brings benefits for the rest of the world, given that China just, with the opening of DeepSeek, that created big opportunities for the spur of data and the use of the AI tools worldwide. So we're yet to see what's going to be the end, but we are optimistic. We're optimistic that this is going to keep driving innovation and opportunity.
What about for you, Wan-Ning?
I think right now the US leads in raw compute, more chips, more capital, more energy. So the US approach is very much scale fast and push the frontier. That also means going forward, a lot of investment will shift into energy and infrastructure because AI is becoming an energy problem as much as a tech problem. And China is in a different position. Compute is still catching up. So Chinese firms are forced to be much more focused on engineering efficiency, better architectures, better training, lower cost, and faster deployment. Instead of brute force, it's a lot of optimization. This constraint actually shapes innovation. Chips and advanced manufacturing are now part of China's new productive forces, and the system is mobilized to catch up quickly. Another difference is applications. China has huge real-world application scenarios. That's why I think a lot of breakthroughs will come from the application.
When you talk about global companies, certainly, and we see a lot of capital as well. Over the past few years, tremendous amount of capital putting into artificial intelligence and all the stories related to AI, including now these days about energy. So how do you see the relationship as young entrepreneurs yourself between capital and the causes of AI it is trying to assist with?
We have seen in the past, back in 2020, if you ask the investment community in the United States, what was the biggest trend, they will tell you climate tech and decarbonization. That tremendously took a shift in 2023 to 2024 and 2025. Most of the investment is now going towards AI, as you correctly mentioned, which has led to great innovation and breakthroughs, but also has led to capital going through a lot of noise. As an entrepreneur in the world, I think that capital is still fundamental for growth and scale. And so it is good to be part of the AI building ecosystem because you can take advantage of that wave in a sense. But as I said, we have to be really careful because you can be creating technologies that can harm us, for example, addictions to social media and others, or you can be funding AI technologies that can improve agriculture, health, education, energy, and so on.
A lot of people say that there's a massive AI bubble out there, but from my perspective, what we have in AI is actually a very clear roadmap and one that's still far from being completed. Whether it's AI plus industries or even longer term artificial general intelligence, we are nowhere near the ceiling. In that sense, we are still at a very early stage. And in the long term, the direction is very clear. The applications are real and the productivity gains are still largely unrealized. So I actually see large-scale capital entering AI as very rational, not speculative. The key challenge is not too much capital, but how to turn capital into real technological and social value. In my own field, climate technology, the situation is even more obvious. Capital is far from sufficient, especially after the US pulled back from many international climate commitments. Global funding for climate action has actually gone backward. And in contrast, I think China has just submitted a new NDC with very clear longer-term targets that create policy certainty. I strongly believe that in the coming years, more capital will flow into climate and resilience technologies in the Asia Pacific because the risks are real and the demand is unavoidable.
One of the things we are seeing this year is IPOs for global companies all over the world, particularly in the areas of AI, huge IPOs. What does that say to you as young entrepreneurs or founders of projects that's trying to link business and social impacts together? Wan Ning.
Definitely, I've seen a lot of IPOs going on in the US market and also the Hong Kong market as well. So like for me, it's definitely, it's a goal for me to achieve the IPOs, but it's definitely also very hard. So since I'm in the climate tech industry, it's not that easy to raise funds nowadays. And most of the companies that were able to achieve IPOs, they are like, basic model firms. They are creating big models, and it's still, I think, a long road to go. And for us, for the industries, I think there will be more investment in the AI plus industry field in the future. And that's the time we thrive.
To what extent do you think then this year's annual forum of the World Economic Forum can be a success?
Sure. Like I think the theme of this Davos event is the spirit of dialogue. So I think it's really important to be able to drag people from the government, the academia, business, and civil society to go together and talk to each other, to share point of views. And I think this time we have attracted for more than 60 head of the countries and head of government to the event. And I think the participants has reached over 3,000. And it's definitely a very great event. And I'm very looking forward to the conversations happen there. I think it will be a very successful event. And I really like the phrase that, in this time, we really need different opinions, even conflict opinions, so people can really understand each other instead of go against each other.
Ignacio?
I think in times like this, it's the perfect demonstration of what the forum was created. If we look back in the World Economic Forum history, about 60 years ago, the war was also driven through some of just then even the Cold War, and also many different geopoliticals, the Vietnam War, etc. So in times like this, I think is where the web plays its most important role, bringing together policymakers from the United States, China, and all around the world to talk about these issues. I think it's going to be important and fundamental, and I hope that we're going to see a cooperation about at the end of this forum. So
I look forward to seeing you in Davos. Ignacio and Wan Ning, thank you.